The chains were already wrapping around General Elijah Carter's truck tires before he'd even finished carrying his first box inside. "Hey, hold on, what are you doing?" Elijah dropped the box on the porch and ran down the steps, still in his moving day t-shirt, sweat on his forehead. A tow truck sat in his driveway, hooking up to his pickup, the truck he'd parked less than 6 hours ago, after 11 months overseas. Standing beside it, clipboard in hand, polo shirt tucked in tight, was Gary Hensley, HOA president and self-appointed king of the cul-de-sac. "You're towing my truck?" "I just moved in today." "Exactly why it's happening now," Gary said. "New residents need to learn the rules fast." "What rules?" "I haven't even unpacked." "Commercial-grade vehicle. Against community guidelines. I gave you a warning this morning. You gave me until 5 o'clock. It's 4:30. Gary shrugged. "I changed my mind." A crowd was already forming. A neighbor with a garden hose froze mid-water. A teenage boy on a bike slowed down, phone rising to record. Someone's front door cracked open across the street. "This is my truck." "In my own driveway," Elijah said, voice level, but his jaw tightening. "And you're towing it because you changed your mind?" "Should have read the handbook," Gary said. "New residents always think the rules don't apply to them. I've been here 24 hours. Not my problem." The chains locked tight around the frame. Elijah stepped forward, not aggressive, just present, and Gary flinched back like he expected a fight that never came. "I'd back up," Gary said. "Don't make me call the police on top of this." Elijah almost laughed. "Go ahead, call them." The teenage boy kept filming. The neighbor with the hose finally spoke up. "Gary, this is excessive. He just moved in." "Diane, stay out of it," Gary snapped, not even looking at her. Elijah pulled out his phone. Calm, unhurried, he dialed, said a few quiet words nobody could fully hear, and hung up before Gary could ask who it was. "Who was that?" Gary asked, an edge creeping into his voice for the first time. "Nobody you need to worry about," Elijah said. Yet the tow truck rolled away, Elijah's pickup chained to the back, disappearing around the corner. Gary straightened his polo shirt, looking almost proud of himself. Rules apply to everyone. No exceptions. "You're going to want to remember you said that," Elijah said quietly, watching the truck vanish. For a moment, it looked like Gary had won. No pushback, no consequences, just a general standing in his half-unpacked driveway, watching his own truck disappear on his first day home. 40 minutes later, a black government SUV turned into the cul-de-sac, slow and deliberate. 2 men in dress uniform stepped out. Not police, not the tow company. Military police, insignia sharp against olive green. Gary froze mid-sentence, chatting with a neighbor on his lawn. The lead MP walked straight to Elijah's front door and saluted crisply. "General Carter, we got your message. Base commander sent us the second he heard your vehicle was towed without cause. He wants this resolved tonight." Gary's clipboard slipped in his hand. "General?" The MP turned to him. "Two-star general, United States Army. 31 years of service. Sir, are you the one who ordered this tow?" Gary's face drained of color. "I didn't know he was a general. He just moved in. There was no ID on the vehicle. I was just enforcing the you didn't ask," Elijah said, arms loosely crossed. Still calm. "You didn't check. You just decided." "Sir, if I'd known, I would never have towed someone's truck regardless of who they were," Elijah said. "That's the problem, Gary. Not that you didn't know it was me. That you didn't care whose driveway it was." Gary had no answer. The MP pulled out a tablet, tapping through screens. "Sir, your vehicle's already being released from the tow yard, no charge. We've also pulled the hose tow authorization records for the file." "File?" Gary asked weakly. "Improper vehicle seizure. Failure to provide written notice. Targeting a resident within 24 hours of move-in with no prior violation history." The MP looked up. "That's not just an HOA problem anymore. That's a legal one." By now, half the cul-de-sac had gathered, phones raised, watching the SUV, the uniforms, and Gary Hensley's composure fall apart in real time. "I run this community," Gary said, but the words came out thin. "Not for much longer, I'd imagine," the MP said flatly. Within a week, Elijah's attorney, a friend from his years of service, filed formal notice against the HOA board, wrongful vehicle seizure, discriminatory enforcement, violation of the community's own 48-hour written notice bylaw before any tow. The teenage boy's video, quiet and unremarkable at first glance, spread fast online not because of shouting, but because of exactly how calm General Carter stayed through all of it. The HOA called an emergency meeting. Neighbors packed the clubhouse, many with their own stories about Gary's selective enforcement, stories they'd never felt safe enough to share before. "He's done this to others," Diane said, voice shaking slightly. "Never this fast, never this public. But he's done it before." The board voted that night. Gary Hensley was removed as HOA president, effective immediately, pending a full review of his 4 years in the role. 2 months later, the lawsuit settled not for headlines, but for real accountability, a public written apology to General Carter, a revised HOA bylaw process with mandatory oversight, and a payout that made national news, tied to a pattern of discriminatory enforcement going back years. Gary wasn't there when it was finalized. He'd already moved out of the neighborhood, unable to face the same streets he'd once patrolled with a clipboard and a superiority he never actually earned. That evening, General Carter sat on his back porch with his wife, moving boxes finally empty, string lights glowing softly overhead. "You never even raised your voice," she said, watching him. "Didn't need to," he said. "I spent 31 years learning the loudest person in the room is rarely the one who wins it." She smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. A neighbor's kid rode past on a bike, waved, and Elijah waved back easy, unbothered home. "They saw a black man in a driveway and decided that was all they needed to know," he said quietly. But respect was never something they had the right to hand out or take away. It was mine before they showed up. It'll be mine long after they're gone.